Welcome, welcome, and we are live. We have Nick Hudecker. What was it last meeting, Nick? Honecker?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I get my last name wrong so many times. I can't
Mm.
expect everybody else to get it right either. So that's fine. But
So
yeah, Nick
Nick H.
H.
How about
Nick.
there you
Yeah,
go?
that is like my handle. It's my email address at Cribble. Like Nick H
Mhm.
at Cribble. That's me.
There you
Because
go.
we have, if you're not from Cribble, you probably don't know. I think we have like three or four different Nicks here, and I was the second. And then we kept hiring a bunch more. So we have a theme going. We're building a whole basketball team of just Nicks.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. Ed Bailey. So we're coming from the East Coast and the West Coast and all points in between. We are here to talk about Cribble Search.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting news.
Yeah, and our fundraise as well. Big news also
Yeah,
with that
yeah.
going on.
Above average news for an above average startup. We're doing all right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, especially like, Monte Carlo raised a big round as well, in the data observability space. So observability is still a hot topic, man. Whether it's networks, whether it's AI, data, you name it. That's a big driver.
I think that, and it's all about unlocking the value of data. There's so much data in the enterprise, and the question I think everyone has to ask is, are we getting full value out of the assets we have? And for most people, that's a maybe, and most people is not really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's challenging out there, man.
Hmm.
People are using so many different tools. They've got cloud, hybrid, IoT, right? There's a huge variety of stuff that's happening out there. And Cribble's core story is stream, right? Observability pipeline sits between those sources and destinations. Clearly not telling you anything you don't know. But we've extended this, right? Now we are an observability solution, observability architecture, however you want to describe it, that encompasses edge, right? An incredibly intelligent agent. We have our stream product to move that data around. And then now we've got search. So, Ed, you've got a long history in the search space, Splunk, Elastic, etc. I know you're excited about search. Do you want to start showing the content, or do you want to kind of give a little bit of a preview about, why search is important for you as a practitioner?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk about why search is important to me. You talk about, how, let's see, how can say I'm really old without saying I'm really old? But I've used Sawmill as a searching tool. I helped write Perl scripts to search data way back in the day. And I mean, you to see the evolution of looking at data one by one, of writing random scripts, running across NFS mounts, trying to have visibility into data. I'll never forget. I think it's 2006, 2007, the first time I downloaded Splunk. I was, I don't know if anyone remembers slashdot.org, which used to be the internet the thing
Oh
for
yeah,
everyone.
that's where
Yeah,
you went. That was
yeah,
the Reddit of its day. Yeah.
yeah. I saw a banner ad for something called Splunk. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I downloaded it, and I was like, the world just changed. I saw that, and then rolled around into 2019, and I see a Facebook ad that I think ran for a week that said Clint Sharp wants to talk about Cribble, and I'm like, what's that? But I knew who Clint was, and so got in touch with Clint, and Dratan did a 15-minute demo, and I was like, okay, things have just changed, and this is why I can't wait to get my hands on Cribble Search, because I think something just changed again, because the principle, that value of Cribble Search is the idea that I can search the data where it is. So let's talk about, through edge. So if I have data that it's on a server that I'm not required to aggregate, but it still has value. Think about debug logs. I can search that data through Cribble Edge, and I can look at that data on the server.
Yeah.
I can
Let's
I can
share the content. Let's share the
Okay,
content
sure.
and step through this, because I want to be able to visualize this for the folks that are watching. All right.
And
So
that's the thing, that bridging the silos is everything. That is so important. So yeah, let's
yeah.
go ahead. Let's go through it.
So what's the reality, right? Like, you don't have data in one place, right? I wish that it's, this like platonic ideal of like, all right, all my data is going to be in a lake. It's going to be in some kind of searchable index. Like, everything is just magically and at no cost move into one place. Well, as I mentioned, we're extending our stream conversation. We're extending our edge conversation into an end-to-end observability architecture. And that's taken us into search. And so, I mean, Ed, to your point, like, going out to the edge and like being able to do something meaningful with this data in a way that makes sense is a challenge. And so I better bring up the comments. So with our search story, I think we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here, but I don't see another way around
It's
it.
okay.
Yeah.
It's a live stream.
It's a live stream, right? There's no rehearsal here. We're just getting up here and talking. Advance to the slide where we talk about searching at edge, searching it in stream. Here we go. All right, skip over all this stuff. Let's just jump right to it.
Yeah.
All right. So the big challenge is that that we saw in the space is that existing search models require you to take all of this data that you don't know if it's valuable or not and move it into one place and then make decisions about, is this valuable? What else do I do with it? What do I do with it next? Do I keep it? And so that is fundamentally flawed, right? You're going to have massive, if you don't have them already, you're going to have massive Kubernetes clusters. You're going to have data at the edge in different points. You're not going to want to move all of this stuff until you know what kind of value it represents. So the old model for search has always been forward, then search. Forward it to someplace central and then search it. The new model today that we're introducing is search, then forward, then decide what you want to do with it, if you need to do anything with it at all. And so Cribl Search is a search in place story for any of your observability data, any of your security data, in any format, regardless of what location it's at the edge through our Cribble Edge product, in the stream with Cribble Stream, and then also for data at rest, whether that's an observability lake or, Ed, I know this is going to be a big deal for you, Splunk or Elastic or any other kind of data at rest story.
Yeah, that's a well said, and it's bridging the silos to stitch things together. Modern enterprise, I mean, you wish there would just be a lake, but there is not a lake. There's lots of ponds, there's oceans, and frankly, places to drown because there's so much random things sitting around. And this is where that ability, and this is another thing I want to emphasize. The principle with Cribl Search is to solve a pain. We're not asking you to stop doing something. You don't need to stop using Splunk. You don't need to stop using Elastic. You don't need to send all your data to an S3 bucket. You don't need to change what you're doing. This is a complementary effort to help you get more value out of your data than you are now. So many organizations are going to have an enterprise Splunk installation, but they're going to have a business level Elastic installation. They're going to have S3 buckets laying everywhere. And the ability to bridge that and search your data, find your data, get value, and including with being able to search edge that's enormously exciting. And just you're getting value with less effort and frankly more choices. And I think from a value standpoint that's awesome.
Your point about not having to replace anything, like you've got to be pretty egotistical to come into a customer site or a prospect site and say, yeah, just tear out everything that you've been doing for the last, you said 2007, right? So the last 15 years.
Yeah. I had so many vendors like, yeah, we can save you money. You just have to stop doing that. And I'm like, I don't want to stop doing that. I like what we're doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, realistically, people build their careers around the tools they use. And, we're not, we would never like come into a location and say, just get rid of all that other stuff. No, I mean, the reality is that we want to enable customer choice, right? That is a foundation for the company. And so search extends that story, right? So it lets you, like to your point, you've got business level data in Elastic. You may have developer or application related information in Elastic as well. You're going to have S3 buckets all over the place. And frankly, if you've got petabytes of data in an S3 bucket, how are you going to search that? How are you going to do something interesting with that? It's like right now you're out of luck. And so these are the problems that we are solving with our search story today. So very exciting to see what this is going to look like. The language that we are using, we announced this on a webinar yesterday, so I'm not giving anything away. We're using Microsoft's Kusto, and that's Kusto. It's an open source language specification, very powerful, and that's what we're going to be using. I think, Ed, I know you got some thoughts here as well. Like a lot of the search stories that we're seeing for modern observability, right? They're building on top of data warehousing products, and they're using obviously SQL for a lot of that work. And they may have difficulty searching large data sets, but I mean, you're an expert in this space. That's why you're here at Cribble. Are you a SQL expert? Do you know SQL? Not know SQL like a database, but KNOW. Do you know SQL?
Well, so some people will call SQL a structured query language. I would call it another type of query language, and that with the S is something else that might get me banned from YouTube. And so those are it is. I don't like it. I think it's unfriendly. I think it's too strict. When you're looking at observability data, looking at security data, you're not going to have strict schemas and mature data models to work off of. And that SQL is just not going to meet your needs. You need something that's going to give you flexibility, something that's going to be approachable, and that's why I think Kusto is a really good choice compared to SQL. And that's just you look at other good search tools. Try to make it approachable. How do you get value? Can you get value with a bare minimum of someone just sit down, someone's going to understand, and then give you that sophistication and layer on capabilities. And unfortunately, SQL just doesn't do that.
It's a different it's a solution for a different problem, right? Like in observability use cases, in security use cases, you're not doing a lot of you're not linking tables together, right? Like you're not linking data sources together in almost every case. So search allows you to take a much more, say, holistic view over all the data that you're using.
And flexible too. I think that's a key. That's a key thing. I mean, think about you're a security researcher and you're trying to find some absurd command line argument that's been obfuscated, that's in a PowerShell script. You can't be limited by formatting. You can't be limited by formatting requirements and schema requirements. You need to be able to see weird things.
Yeah.
I'm just so I think that's a great way to do it. It's going to give it flexibility. And we've got a question from Nikhil about Cribble Edge and data become persistent in the temp form. So let's try to answer that. So we're still working through this. The idea of search tool reaching out to Cribble Edge on your server. But the idea is, think about, you have debug logs. This is something I used to get in absurd arguments with developers. They wanted to have all this data. It's very expensive to ship. It's very expensive to store. I would have killed to have something in Cribble Edge where I could search my debug logs that are in place and get value to development teams. Because often they don't need it every day, but when they need it, they need it. And so that idea, and the idea is that the data is on the file system. You're able to search it, and when it goes away, the ability to search it goes away. So you have that temporary short-term capability that you just don't have right now, and have it at scale. I think it's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah. And if in that edge data that you're searching, you decide, oh, I need to keep this, right? I want to share this with a broader team. You can then send that data to any destination you want, either directly from Edge, which may or may not be a great idea, depending on the number of edge nodes that you want to do that with at the same time, or through Cribble Stream that lets you then kind of take advantage of any load balancing or any type of capabilities around high volume data transfers. So you've got a lot of different options. So taking data from Edge to Stream to Search.
There's one thing I wanted to mention also. So everybody, if you work in a highly regulated environment, you know that there's certain data you have to retain. You have to put it into something. You have to centralize it, no matter what the kind of data is. I feel your pain. So, but we're not asking you to stop doing that. This gives, so you centralize, you manage your retention requirements as your standards require. But this gives you that ability to get that other data that has value, but it's not in your requirements. This gives you, think about that capability to solve a current need. Everyone has had developers say, hey, we need this debug data, even though it's tons of data. We need this. So this solves that problem, and it solves it well.
Yeah. Comment here from Nathaniel on LinkedIn. Searching the edge for data that you don't need to ingest. That is super awesome, right? So you get to decide what's important to you. You get to decide how you use this data, where it might live, if it needs to live somewhere else after the fact. So I love this, I love the disposition of the company, right? Like we're gonna take a first principles approach to all of these different problems.
Yeah, choice and control. I mean, fundamentally everything begins there. And Nathaniel, I'm sure you've seen Edge with that ability to quickly and easily make a change. You need to pull in that data. You can push that down wherever you want and get what you want quickly.
Yeah, and to John's comment here, also another Cribble employee, Cribble Cloud customers, this is going to be incredibly powerful in our cloud offering. Fully managed, being able to use all of these capabilities, and once you're in cloud, it is very easy to say, oh, I want to do a hybrid architecture as well. So if you don't want data to pass through our cloud environment, or you don't want that data to leave your data center, but you still want to centrally manage all of those worker groups, you can deploy a worker group on-prem or at, frankly, anywhere. And then that data can go directly from the worker group to whatever destination you want, and you're still in full control. So if you have concerns about regulatory industries or heavily regulated industries, that data does not have to leave either a geographic region, your data center, et cetera. So you still get, even with cloud, you still get all the power of a hybrid architecture, and you're still in control.
Exactly.
Yeah. So search in place. Ed, why don't you go ahead and unpack this for us, right? I mean, we've kind of hinted around it a little bit, but I think being able to describe it is going to be really valuable.
I love the term search in place. We're going to search the data where you have it. We're not asking you to move it to our tools, to our capabilities, to our cloud. We're going to give you the capability to search it wherever it lives. I mean, it's a great analogy with the stream workers, and that just that hybrid architecture that you're mentioning. Deploy your hybrid. You can deploy your workers on-prem, in the cloud, wherever you want. It's up to you. We want to go. We can be where your data is. We've already talked about the edge use case. I think searching the stream, the idea is so that Cribl Search will tap into the live data stream that's inside of Cribble Stream. That's awesome. Gives you that. It's probably not going to be real time. It's going to give you that near real time ability to see the data much faster than you're going to see otherwise. That's super powerful. When there's a number of use cases, think about from a security use case. You're searching the stream, you can then use that to trigger a SOAR workflow and get a jump on an attack. So just one more capability to help you solve problems. Searching the data lake, and that can be whatever it is, on-prem storage, object store, whatever you need it to be. And then finally, the ability to also reach across tools, so like an Elastic and a Splunk. You reach into that API, use the same query language, and then reach into those tools and pull your data back. And it's all about getting value, all about just new use cases and new value from your data. And that's the thing. If you've got all this data, why not use it?
Yeah. And the other point of this is, if you land your data in an existing, let's say, log analytics tool, et cetera, observability tool, et cetera, that data is effectively theirs, right? Like you're paying for them to keep your data. You don't get a lot of options about what you might want to do with it later. How do you get that data out, either whole or in part? Or you might be paying an exorbitant amount to store that data long term. Once again, we believe in customer choice. So you'll be able to access that data, regardless of who put it there. And so you'll always be able to have open access to any data that we write off to, your S3 bucket, maybe an S3 bucket that we manage. So a huge degree of flexibility and control as far as openness around those data formats as well. And that's something that a lot of folks haven't really talked about yet.
Yeah, and just those being able to unlock new use cases, I think it's just great. My favorite observability team is really interested in Cribl Search because through an acquisition, there's now a large Elastic presence, but the rest of the company is on Splunk. They want to be able to tie the two together and pull data out to just for exactly what we're talking about. And so there's just options, and also just speed. Huge thing with companies with acquisitions. Your leadership wants things done quickly. They want transformation. They want integration. Here's an example of how you can start tying those two organizations together much faster than otherwise possible.
Yeah. I come from kind of like a traditional data management environment where, one company buys another, and how do you deal with like merging data warehouses? How do you get a single source of truth, right? That's a problem that companies have tried to solve a variety of different ways. Data virtualization is one of them. And that's still, I still remain a skeptic of data virtualization just because of the complexities of performance, governance, all of those challenges. This is a much more approachable problem from a federated search type of model than it is from highly structured data. So I think, to your point, if you are going through M&A, and frankly, who isn't at this point, this can be a very easy on-ramp to merging all of these different data sources together, because it's the operations folks that bear the brunt, frankly, whenever M&A happens, right? They're the ones that, some of them might get let go as part of kind of cost adjustments and what do they call it? Synergies when one company buys another, people often get let go. So you may lose a lot of expertise. Cribl Search with its federation capabilities gives you some of that expertise back because it lets you access that data in a transparent way.
You had a great tweet, on Twitter a couple of days ago, or I think it was yesterday, with the the difficulties going on right now. I think there's going to be a record number of M&As over the next couple of years. And so that capability to tie your data, tie your companies together faster and easier is going to be very important. And I want to stress the faster and easier part. It's painful. Merging companies is painful. It's messy. It's messy in the best way.
Yeah, especially with things like cybersecurity becoming so important, right? It's a board level priority at this point. You cannot have gaps in that story. So search is going to be fantastic here.
All right, let's see what we got here. So let's get some key takeaways. So let's talk about, when do you think we're going to go to GA?
So we're targeting late 2022. Currently we are in, Jordan, I'll get to your question in 1 second. Currently we are working with development partners to figure out, exactly what this product needs to look like, what kind of use cases we expect to see, what kind of performance requirements we're going to have, things like that. So you can join, this slide came from our webinar that we did yesterday. You can join our community on Slack. Go to cribble.io/community. We have a new search channel that's running now. So if you want to stay in the loop about what's happening, you can check us out there and keep streaming. Cribble Stream is certainly our flagship product, but we're a multi-product company today. We are an end-to-end observability architecture, and we're incredibly excited about that. And one last point here is, if you want to build these kinds of things, we have like 90 openings in the company. So if you want to come and join the herd, right? Must love goats. We likely have a spot for you here at Cribble. So definitely check out our careers page, cribble.io/jobs. And feel free to reach out to either me or Ed. We're both on Twitter. Ed, what's your Twitter handle?
eBailey1367.
eBailey1367. And then I'm N. Hudecker. And if you can spell that, it's NHEU, D as in David, ECKER. Feel free to reach out. Happy to answer any questions, connect you with a hiring manager, anything like that.
Yeah,
Jordan,
I'll
question?
Twitter out the dev partner link too when we're done.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we are bringing a lot of dev partners on. So Ed, this is a question for you from Jordan on LinkedIn. What would be some use cases for using Cribl Search over Splunk Search, assuming an enterprise has both installed? i.e., could one search data from S3 that hasn't been indexed with Splunk?
Bingo. You got it right there, Jordan. The idea is that you could take data from both data sources, correlate them together, and get more value from your data. I think that's a perfect use case. The idea is that use Splunk for what Splunk does best, but also pull in your other data and get better results. Jordan, does that make sense?
Yeah, hit us back in the comments, Jordan, if that makes sense. Happy to dive into more detail, or reach out to us. Always happy to chat. Kind of an offshoot of the search conversation is our replay capability in search. Right. One of the things that, replay capability in stream. We have too many words now. It's going to take me a while to internalize all of them. But so as data is passing through Cribble Stream, you can choose to spin that off to lower cost object storage. So if it's something that, hey, I might need to keep this for a long time, or I definitely need to keep this for a long time, but I don't want to pay a lot for it. You can store that data in object storage and later on decide, I want that data either whole or in part. restream it back through Cribble Stream at no cost, by the way, and then send that data onto the same destination, a different destination, same format, different format, etc. And if you're on YouTube, our producer just pasted the link for the development partner submission. We'll get that posted elsewhere as well. But so you can, with Replay, you can store the data, then choose to restream it. It just made sense for us to add search on top of that because so many of our customers are taking advantage of our Replay capability for kind of data insurance.
Exactly. One thing also, it's all the popular object stores. It's not just S3. It's all about choice. We're not going to push you to just do Amazon S3, Azure, GCP, Mini.io, Dell ECS. I mean, we're trying to give you as many choices as possible to help you meet your business needs.
Yeah. And that data is stored in full fidelity. We are not, Chris signed up. Chris signs up for everything. Gotta love Chris.
Hey, Chris, Steve already signed up for you, so he's already ahead of the game.
So we're going to keep pushing forward on this. And for Replay, the data is not stored, is not summarized in any way. It is either, what is it? It's JSON, ND JSON or JSON.
I think it could be both, but I think ND JSON probably when it goes into S3. And then,
or raw format.
Yeah, it's going to be a raw form, right? I mean, more often than not, raw format, but it just gives you more options for how you manage your data, and also help you manage your costs because, man, they're stacking up. It's just unreal.
It is unreal. All right. So, I mean, that's what we've got for search today. If you do want to join as a development partner, we'll have the link up. It's already up in YouTube. If you have any questions, hit us up. Join the community. Love to hear from you. And with that, I think this is going to be a fairly short broadcast today. But Ed, I wasn't on last week. Great to see you again, as always.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I got to say, the company we've had an above average week, and so we're going to keep having many more.
Yeah. So raised $150 million for our Series D, very exciting, and launched search. So if you want to join the herd, Cribble.io/jobs. All right. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Take care. Thank you. Take care, Nick. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Back pat for me. Why? I'll tell you why, Sharp. Clint Sharp. I'm not going to lie, it's a pretty good name. Good superhero name. Clint Sharp. Mild-mannered CEO Clint Sharp runs $1 million friggin' whatever by day, but by night he becomes Space Boy. Yeah, Space Boy. And you know why you're Space Boy, Eastwood? Because Elon owes me one. Yeah. So I got you out there, Space Boy. I took you to the stars, Space Boy. You're welcome. Stank you, you're smelcome. Elon owed me one. That guy fucks. You gotta let me know if the shuttle has doors that open like this or like this. Clinty boy, Space Boy. Oh, yeah.